Hello, this is Jeremy Stringer with Freckle Education, and I want to thank you for joining me for the following short, informative, and fun, less than 10-minute training tutorial on Freckle Education. Freckle, as you've probably heard, and if you haven't heard, it's an award-winning differentiation platform like no other out there. This is adaptive to your students. It's really easy to use. As a matter of fact, as Piggy here is boasting on this opening page, there's only two simple steps to get this set up where your students are using it in your class. For the purposes of today's training, I'm breaking it up into two sections. I'm going to first show you how, as a teacher, you get signed in and get things set up. And then we're going to take a look at what the student sees. I've geared the training for a fourth grade class, and we're going to focus just on ELA and math today for the purposes of this training. So what I've done to cut down on time a little bit is I went ahead and went to freckle.com and created my free teacher account. There's a big blue button that lets you do it in just a couple of steps. Once you do that and sign back in, you'll be at classroom.freckle.com and you'll land right over here on the Getting Started link in the navigation panel. And as I was saying, it's really as easy as two simple steps. We're going to add a class in just a moment, and we're going to let the power of this application really shine forth when it uses the adaptive learning methodology within it to discover your students' current levels so that it can then begin to assess them and quiz them and let them practice appropriately. Before we do that, really briefly, on the navigation panel, you also see the activity feed, which becomes more useful as more people are in there using it and doing things. There's also assignments, and there's the roster. And the roster is where you can see who's in your class, of course, and where you can create a new class once we're done adding our first one. And as assignments name suggests, this is where you create assignments for your students and see how they're doing on those assignments. It's really quite nice. We'll look at that more closely here in just a second. Also, there's the ability to see the student app. You want to be able to see what the student sees, and you can do that here. We're going to sign in as one of our students, like I said. And then for each of the subjects, there is just rich content we don't have time to go into right now, but wow. Not only are there different content areas for practicing, for building fluency, you can assign things from here as well, and the reporting is super powerful. You can do report cards, you can do reports on performance by standards, assessments, so on and so forth. It's really amazing, and we could spend far more time than we have just looking at the report section. But back to what we're going to do here. I'm going to click back up on Getting Started. Let's add our first class. Once we click this, we can go ahead and give our class a name. You can import straight from Google Classroom if you happen to be a Google Classroom user. Otherwise, let's just call this class Math. I click Next. It asks me what grade the students are in. We're in grade 4. I'm going to click Continue, and here I can either copy and paste from Excel or Google Sheets to get my students, or I can just add them manually, and it's actually quite quick to do that. I'm going to add Sage Stringer, and then I'm going to add Trinity Stringer. It shows right now I have 3 students in this class, and that's because I'm one of them. I signed in as Freckle user, by the way. It's just my test account. So there's three of us in this class. It shows the grade level, and it shows our language that we speak. We can change that, of course, if necessary for the students, and it will adapt, which is pretty awesome. Then I can click Done, adding 3 students. Okay, so now that we've given our class a name, the next thing we need to do in our two simple steps here is discovering our students' current level. This is really cool. So for teachers, what skills should your students practice first? We're going to click on this Select a Skill. We're in Math, and now we need to select our Math domain. So we're doing 4th grade. Let's just, for the purposes of today, we will do fractions. Click Save. And it says students in your math class will see fractions on their welcome screen to guide them in their first practice session. So now we click Done. Now what's going to happen, it's really cool. Students will take a 15-minute pre-test, and this is a test that gauges the level of where the student is at, and if they get things right or wrong, it adapts to that. And then when they're done with this pre-test, they are able to go in and learn this particular domain right at the level they're at based on the results of that pre-test. It is brilliant. So each of them can see all the different parts that they need to complete for this particular area, for this particular domain, but they'll start at their comfort level according to the pretest. Now, what do students need to do? So for students, they're just going to go to student.freckle.com. As a teacher, you're at classroom.freckle.com where you sign in, but our students go to student.freckle.com, and I'm going to copy the class code really quick to my clipboard. There's also this feature where you can print login cards, which is really cool. So I could print off the login cards for each of the kids in my class, which gives them the little code that they need. Now, the next part I promise is we're going to look at things from the student side. So student.freckle.com is where our students go, and they land at this page. We were at classroom.freckle.com. I'm going to sign in as Trinity Stringer, one of my students, and I'm going to paste in that class code that I copied and click Continue. Now this is really cool. It's got this really nice, clean landscape to it. I love how it looks when you sign in, and students do too. Here's Piggy and friends. And it says, welcome to Freckle Trinity. And right away, she can practice fractions. That's the domain we've chosen. She can earn coins for practicing, by the way. And coins are this really cool feature within Freckle that allows students to get virtual currency to do fun things with. It is a real big motivator, and lots of positive feedback has come from coins. So we can practice fractions if we want, and if you click that, it does bring you into a really nice clean palette here where you're given questions that it adapts to as you do your practice. I'm not going to answer that right now and embarrass myself. I'll just click the home button and exit my practice session. And then now if I was ready to, or if Trinity was ready to, she would need to start the pretest before she can get into the domain and work through things within fractions. And you can see them in the background here. What is a fraction is number one. Number two is unit fractions on a number line. And this is one of those cool kind of circuitous pathways of learning that they're going to get for this domain. But what's brilliant is after the student finishes this pretest, roughly 15 minutes, they land here at the appropriate area so that they're not all starting at the same point, either bored or overwhelmed. And it uses some amazing logic to come up with that via this pretest. Really, really fun. Of course, there's a big green practice button over here as well. Piggy's here, and then her coin count as well, and access for her to the store is over here on the left. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through this pretest, so I can't show you exactly where I would land on here, and maybe that's good so I don't embarrass myself. But it is just a really nice, clean, and intuitive flow for the kids. And as you can see here when we come back out to the main student page, student.freckle.com, we have all these different areas, measurement and data, the domains geometry, base 10, and in each of these you can start the pretest, and then it will let you work through the different practice areas. It is really awesome, intuitive, and the kids love it. Down here in the bottom, I want to just point out you have your home button that you can click on as the student. You have the different areas like math, ELA, and then, of course, the assignments. Trinity has already been assigned something, and then the little notification down here says she has an assignment. And you can see over here, sure enough, she has infractions. She has an assignment that was assigned today, September 7th. Here are the other areas that we could also have assignments for her. And then if she has to do this assignment, she clicks on this, and it right away launches the pretest. Jason thinks that since he ate 0.6 of his orange and his friend Bailey only ate 0.5 of her apple, he ate more fruit than she did. Is Jason correct? So the student would answer that and move on to the next as part of the pretest. When they're done, as I said, they land right where they need to be, and boom, they're moving forward, and other students can help them out if necessary. It allows the teacher to really differentiate the instruction. Pretty awesome. I'm going to click the home button here and exit this. So not going to do the pretest right at this moment because we don't have time. I'm sorry I have to stop now, and the apology is that I'm excited to keep going and to show you more, and I know you probably want to see more as well. So this is a great time for you to visit freckle.com, sign up for that free teacher account. It really takes a couple of clicks. Create yourself a class, go ahead and start gauging where your students are at within your domain, and let the magic of this thing unfold. That's just part of it, though. If you remember, when you go back to classroom.freckle.com, there are many more content areas that you're going to want to take a look at when you have time, which of course would include those reports. Lots of awesome reports, lots of awesome things you can print out and use in your class, lots of different resources. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. My name is Jeremy Stringer.